Hi guys, Claudia Boleyn here, and this is an update video to let you know how I am getting along in my mental health journey. Well, I have been to see the doctor. I have spoken to the mental health team, two people on mental health teams on the phone. They're making me an appointment for some sort of adult therapy locally in a few days. I was too high risk, according to them, to do things like to go on like a proper waiting list or something, but I do have to wait 4 days, so at the moment I'm just sort of waiting. I'm just sort of sitting here waiting. Oh, also I've upped my medication, which you might have seen me complaining about on Twitter. All it's done is just make me feel very sick, to be honest. I'm on venlafaxine, and it's been doubled, my dose, and it's infamous, this drug, for making you feel so ill and tired, and you get really like hot sweats and you feel sick. Like, it's just the nausea really, and you also get this weird clicking in your head, and I've heard other people talk about this as well, but it's like this weird clicking inside your head, and it's just horrible. And yeah, yesterday was not a good day for me. I just felt sick. I don't feel so sick today, maybe because I felt sick all last night and yesterday. I'm just kind of used to it, but my mental state hasn't changed at all, which is interesting. Again, probably seems odd talking to you like this because I probably seem absolutely fine. This is something that people around me deal with as well, like in my family, because I think it's hard for them to understand, or people who don't have BPD to understand, that you can present like this but be actually wishing you were dead on the inside and be an absolute nothing low point, but we can present like this. A little story I wanted to tell you as well is you hear a lot of weird stuff around mental illness because so many people are just ignorant about it, and like friends and family and things like that, it's not so bad because, well, for my family, like, it was just ignorance, and then they learned and they got better at dealing with it, and they were nicer to me about it, and now they're really supportive and try their best. And sometimes they don't always get it right, and it can be awkward, but it isn't because they're not trying. Like, they do try. But yeah, when it actually comes from mental health professionals, that's a problem, isn't it? Because I do think that there's still a lot of stigma towards mental health, even within that mental health profession, like especially with BPD. Because there are loads of people who won't even treat us with BPD, like therapists that won't see us. Seriously. But yeah, one of the times in my life when I was really, really low and suicidal, and it was prior to an overdose, twice this happened to me. First of all, my family were absolutely worried because clearly I was very unwell, and they took me to see a therapist, like a crisis. I can't remember if it was like a psychologist or whatever. I don't even know. I remember my mental health stuff really. It's hard for me to even think about it because so much of it is like my own brain has sort of cut it out. Like it was so traumatic that genuinely I just have big chunks of time that I don't really remember, or I just remember certain parts of. But I did write lots of stuff down, so sometimes I can like look back on it like that and understand more. But anyway, I didn't do that for this video. But I saw this doctor, and I was so low, and I was so low that I couldn't even really talk. I was just sitting there really, and he was asking me questions, and I was just saying how bad I felt, and he just said that he said I would be fine. I think he thought it was just a typical teenage girl thing. That's damaging. And then the day after, I believe, was my first overdose. So, and then I think it was a while before my second overdose, and this is I can't believe this happened, but it did. I went to a medication review, and once again, my family were in great distress about me, and I went to this medication review even though I didn't want to, and I felt like there was no point, and I went because I thought, they'll help me, and I was wearing makeup on that day. For me, with BPD, like, I understand with depression, when you're really depressed, like, there are times when you feel like you don't have the energy to get out of bed and that sort of thing. But there are different sorts of mental illness, and also with different mental illness, there's different ways of presenting, and it's different on various days. There's so many factors, and that's why it's so important that we talk about this kind of stuff, because loads of people think that you're faking or it's not real if you're not presenting like what they think the stereotype is. So I was wearing lipstick on this day, much as I am today. Dead inside as I am, I'm still wearing pink lipstick. I went and I saw this doctor in the medication review, and she assessed me, and I just told her how I felt because she was asking me, and then she said that yeah, she didn't think I was that bad because I was wearing makeup. And then the day after, I think it was the day after, I took an overdose, my second overdose. So yeah, they really need to step it up. But there's also really, really great people, and this is what frustrates me. I feel really strongly that mental health services are underfunded. They're underfunded. And I know, like, I'll get people saying to me, well, you're so lucky to live where you do. Of course we're lucky. But that doesn't mean we should have to, like, accept stuff as it is if it could be improved for people. At the moment, there are still long waiting lists. There's a lot of people who don't have the education. The people who are really good, like the crisis team I saw at the hospital, brilliant people, really nice, knew what they were talking about, very kind, which is important, and you'd be surprised how many people in this profession are not kind, that you come across, and you almost feel like you're being, like they're trying to catch you out almost, or that they just have some checklist, and they don't see this as like a big personal issue in your life. They're just there to fill out their form, and it makes you feel really bad. But every year I feel like people, you know, start to care about mental health when it comes up to like the awareness week and everything, which is fantastic. But no matter what we do in terms of like raising awareness, if there's not enough money in the services, then what are people going to do? Because yeah, okay, so people will come to terms with the fact that they might need help, and that's going to be great because more people will reach out for help. But if the services aren't there and people aren't educated on stuff who actually work within the services, then it can just make things really difficult. And I've spoken to loads and loads of people who were actually sent into a downward spiral, and even got worse because of the way they were spoken to, and the people who they were speaking to didn't know what they were doing. One woman I saw really should not be practicing anymore in my view, because the way she spoke to me, when you're that low, and I worry about this because I feel like when you're really low, people can speak to you a certain way and you just take it because you're really low, like depending on what state you're in. And yeah, sometimes they take advantage of that. And now I look back at like what I wrote after our sessions and my memories of those sessions, I think about how incredibly unprofessional and how almost it wasn't healthy. It was sort of inducing shame and pressure instead of helping me, really. And I know lots of people have similar experiences. I remember being told by that woman that apparently I was letting people down and I had to get better, otherwise I'd be disappointing people, and that is the complete wrong way to go about it. I have lost count of the amount of times where I have been in a really bad place and people have just disbelieved it or discounted it, disregarded it because of the way I was presenting. And that is what I really wanted to talk about, because we all present very differently. We all are very good at masking our symptoms because there's a lot of ableism in society, because people won't believe it, because we don't want to be a burden, because society tells us that we are a burden. We cover it up and we can't win. We can't win because what we do is we try. This happens to me all the time, and it used to happen to me a lot, especially when I was less confident as a person, where you cover up because you don't want to worry anyone, so you put on that smile and that mask, and it costs you so much. People don't know what that costs you, the energy you take. The energy that it takes to go through a day and try and pretend that you're fine will exhaust you physically and mentally. And then when you finally do hit the edge, when you go over the edge, because you've been doing that for so long and bottling it for so long and trying to not show it, people will then say to you, oh, well, you can't be that bad because the other day you were talking to me and you seemed fine, so I think it can't be that bad and you're just exaggerating. Like, they don't understand, and they don't mean it horribly, but they don't understand that a lot of that time when they see us and they think we're fine, it's because we're trying to make their lives easier. Like, we don't want to worry people, so a lot of the time, you know, we do keep stuff to ourselves and we do try to act more fine than we are. What about when you're really bad and you'll talk to people around you who'll say, oh, but you've been fine, you know, this is silly, you've been absolutely fine. And you haven't been absolutely fine. You know yourself better than other people know you. That's something that's really important to me when it comes to mental health and just health in general. I feel like we know ourselves very well. I mean, I've gone through so many years of people denying that there was anything different about my mental state, even though I knew that there was something very wrong there, you know, and that I was experiencing life quite differently. And that sort of form of denial all your life makes you feel like you're going mad, basically. Oh god, another one I've just thought of as well, and this one just drives me up the wall after my own life experience, and also I'm sure that a load of you guys can relate to this as well. It's when you're very low and the people around you suddenly act very shocked and surprised and ask you, well, what's wrong? And then you say to them, well, it's probably just my mental illness playing up. And then they keep being like, okay, but what's wrong? But what's wrong? And there's only so many times you can explain to somebody that it's a mental illness, you know? And a lot of the time these people know. They know it's a mental illness, and they know that part of the mental illness means that sometimes you're going to be very low about stuff. But still, they act like, but there's nothing to be upset about. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you like, it's like the blame is on you as the sufferer of the illness, as if you are making it happen for some reason. Being told to get a grip, that sets me off like nothing else. That sends me from 0 to 100 on the rage scale. Because telling oh my god, when they tell you to get a grip and you've got mental illness, it is just the most frustrating thing, because they are so ignorant. They have no idea about how we hold ourselves together, because so many of us, I know because I speak to loads of you guys and I know from my own experience, we do hold it together exceptionally well, and that's part of the reason why people act like, oh, they must be faking, because sometimes they seem fine. Being told to get a grip when you're suffering from an illness, like a genuine illness, is disgusting. Now, I'm not going to say that it's easier for people with physical disabilities, because it's not. People with physical disabilities have it just as hard, but it's slightly different in the way it's treated. It's not easier for people with physical disabilities, and that's something that I think we need to be aware of as well. If we're just mentally ill, it's different. It's slightly different, but there's struggles on either way. But I do think one of the differences is that a lot of the time, when something isn't visible, people will just deny it, even though they know that it's there. Perhaps you're even diagnosed and, you know, you've got a doctor, you see a therapist, you're taking antidepressants, but still, because they can't see it, they think they somehow know better, and that, well, you know, you don't have it. It's not that bad. Like, it's bad. It's really, really bad. Nobody would want mental illness. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. You feel out of control in your own life and in your own head, and basically your own brain. Like, you just want to kill yourself. Like, seriously think about that. Like, if you're a well person, I'm aware that's not something that you guys go through life thinking about if you're not mentally ill, right? Usually. Honestly, I feel underlying suicidal ideation constantly. Now, that's one of those things that you grow up thinking is normal if you have BPD, for example, and as you get up, you think there's something, you think it's all, you know, it's weird. You don't understand why everyone around you is coping so well, and you're not, and you think, oh my gosh, like, I must be like a terrible, awful human who can't cope. Oh, I'm so weak. Like, why is everyone else doing it and I can't? What you need to know, if you're one of those people who thinks like that, and what other people need to know, is that it's an illness. So there is a reason you're feeling like that. It's not because you're less than anyone else or weaker than anyone else. It's just that people in life have different illnesses and different struggles, and yours is a mental illness or a personality disorder. So yes, you're going to experience life differently, but it's not through your own fault. Like, it doesn't make you faulty as a person, it's just a difference, and you're going to have slightly different needs to other people. People genuinely don't understand that having a mental illness or a personality disorder like BPD, it impacts your life every single day of your whole life. It's not something that you just do for attention or say you've got. Why on earth would you say? They act like, oh, you'd pretend you've got it for attention, but it's not good attention, okay? I'm sure there are a couple of people out there, a very small percentage, who maybe would fake it, but loads, you know, there's always a small percentage of strange people who do that. And also some of those people, they might be ill themselves, you know, in another way, and that's what's making them do that. But on the whole, having a mental illness is a horrible experience. You don't get treated any better than anyone else. You get people doubting it's even real, people calling you an attention seeker, people who don't have any knowledge on it themselves. Like, they act like they know you and your illness better than you do. And it's not exciting. I made a tweet about this because I was feeling frustrated. Like, as you might have noticed, like, I probably seem fine in this video. I'm not fine. I feel low, but I feel flat, and I feel angry all at once. I don't even know how to describe that feeling. It is there is anger there, there's anger. But that anger's good for me because it's keeping me here, it's something. But they think it's going to be all exciting and dramatic and, oh, you do it for attention. No, it's awful. Your family are upset. You feel like you have upset your family. You don't know why you're not coping. You will blame yourself, even no matter how long you've had your mental illness for, and no matter how educated you are on it. Because of society, inevitably you're going to feel like it's your fault. You're going to feel like that, and people are going to make you feel like that. You're going to end up in waiting rooms. You're going to end up waiting a long time to see doctors, some of whom aren't going to understand it and are going to make you feel this big. You're going to have to go to A&E sometimes, and it's scary and it's unpleasant, and you're going to have people you don't know asking you the same questions over and over, and it's paperwork, and it's filling out forms, and it's having to explain to the government what you can and can't do, and explain why you can't do what other people can do, but feel like you're some sort of villain in this, like you're doing something wrong. You're going to have days where you literally, you don't want to be here anymore, and some days it might get so bad where you even act on that. So it's not fun. People, I really, when people say that people would do it for attention, like there's other things you could pretend to be for attention. It's not positive attention. It's awful. It's horrible. People don't believe you. People talk down to you. People act like your beliefs and your opinions aren't real because of your mental illness. Like, you see this all the time, and this is what I hate. Like, when it comes to, for example, Donald Trump. Hate the man, hate his opinions. But you know, there was that time when people were trying to diagnose Trump, like, oh, he's got such and such mental illness, so he shouldn't be in power. He's got mental illness, which is what makes him a bad person. He's got mental illness, he can't do it. He's not, like, able to think straight. That's such bullshit, and it harms other people with mental illness. Like, I don't even know if Donald Trump's got something like that. I don't know. It's irrelevant. When you use someone's mental illness to discount them, you know, from talking politically or having a voice, or use it to somehow mean, oh, that's why he's being so awful, you are hurting all of us. And I was having a conversation with a family member the other day, and they were saying to me that, you know, you seem slightly different now. And I think some people think that when you have mental illness and you get to this point, that it can make you more angry and more sort of I don't know how to express this, really. I'm not really in the space to express it right. But it's not a case of you don't change. It's often a case of you just sort of, you get to a point where a lot of the times where you would mask, and a lot of the times where you would be able to have the energy to cover it and kind of act happier and normal and put up with stuff that, you know, you shouldn't really have to, but you put up with it and you smile and you let it go. When you're in this state, you can't. You know, it doesn't make you a different person in that sense. It just means your tolerance levels are low. So stuff that usually you could think, oh, okay, I'll let that slide, you can't really do it in this state. It makes me think of how people say that when people are on their period, like, it makes them, like, more evil or something like that. And genuinely, like, from experience, when I'm on my... This is off topic, but it's the same thing. Like, when I'm on my period, I don't become a different person. It's just that my tolerance levels, they really ebb. So things that usually I would kind of think, well, that's really out of order, but you know what? I'm just going to be chill. You just don't put up with it, you know? So, yeah, a lot of us who have mental illness are quite outspoken. It's because we don't have the energy sometimes to kind of sugarcoat stuff. That does take energy, and it's energy that some of us don't have. And we can't afford to have it, especially not when we're talking about mental illness. People say to me, Claudia, if you were really ill, you wouldn't be making these videos, and I want to scream, and I kind of want to fly through the screen and throttle them. There you go. That's another example of something I might think, usually, that I wouldn't usually say, but you see now I'm actually saying it. No, don't throttle people in life. Don't do it. I'm saying it's an urge. Don't do it. Nobody do that, please. But these people haven't got the slightest idea of what it is like to exist with a mental illness, or to exist with borderline personality disorder. They don't have the capacity to understand that talking to other people about it, and having other people who feel the same as you and suffer the same stuff, they can't understand that that is empowering, and that it's helpful, and that it makes you feel less alone, and that it helps you get through it. It is important to talk about this stuff, but it's also got to be on our terms sometimes. It's no good for people who don't have mental illness to say, oh yeah, you know, you need to talk about it, you need to vent, you need to, like, express how you feel. And then for them to act like any one of us who actually does is just looking for attention, you know, and we can't actually be that ill because we're doing the thing that they said we should do. So I'm really not taking anyone's bullshit right now, and I say that. I have a lot of love for everyone, in fact, like genuinely everyone, which is weird, but I actually do. But I also feel very strongly, because of living a life with mental illness and being taught to bottle and do things in a certain way and express things in a certain way, otherwise you won't be listened to, and it spreads out into other stuff. Like I made that video a couple of days ago about transphobia and how trans people, especially trans women, are being, you know, get tone policed and things like that. And it's almost a similar thing that happens when you talk about mental illness. You know, you are allowed to do it now, but it's got to be on the terms of the non-mentally ill people. So yeah, that's something that frustrates me, and I just feel like emotion is so important, and it helps to be able to talk about stuff and to be able to vent. And when you stop people from showing that emotion and that reaction and talking honestly, when you deny them that space, that's really dangerous to anyone, but especially to people who already suffer with mental illness, because we spent all our lives basically pushing this down and blaming ourselves, and that's essentially what that kind of mentality is encouraging us to do. This video went off so badly. I only came here to update you about stuff, and to say that in a few days, friends, I will be able to talk to someone face to face. I'm still safe. I'm safe. Yeah. I feel bad. I feel really bad. It's still that done feeling, you know? That feeling of just... what the hell? It's weird, and I feel detached, and I also feel ill now as well. But I'm so detached that where usually I would freak out about feeling ill, I don't even care, which is a big deal for me because I have emetophobia. So this is a true sign of where my mental state is at right now, because usually if I felt like this, I'd be panicking. Am I panicking? No, not really, not at all. I thought I was dying the other day because I had really bad like chest pains and stomach pains, and it's because like with mental illness, like with me, it can come out physically and physical symptoms, and didn't even panic really. I just thought, oh, I think this might be it. Off we go then. Let's just sort of sit here like, no, I don't really need to tell anyone about that, you know, just sort of wait and see what happens, you know, which is unhealthy. I'm not sitting here telling you that what I'm saying today is healthy. I'm just venting. I'm venting. I'm low, I'm flat. Am I even low and flat though? What is this? What is this state I'm in? Like, I'm looking at myself in the camera screen and I look normal. I look the same as ever, but I don't feel it. And maybe that's the true message of this video. No, it isn't. There's not even a true message in this video. I just feel angry. I think a lot of mental illness, dealing with mental illness, having that gaslighting, being spoken to in a certain way, being sort of treated like you don't know yourself, like it's your fault somehow, like you're doing it for attention. There is anger in that. It does make you angry. And for me, when I get like this, there is anger involved. Like there is frustration and anger about the situation. I feel angry about what I've lost sometimes, because there's times in my life I've lost a lot of childhood stuff, and my teenage years are basically... I don't have the same teenage years and teenage experiences that everyone else had. You know, most people can remember their teenage years fondly and their school fondly. I don't have any of that. So yeah, I do feel angry about that. I feel angry about the way that me and people like me get treated. I feel angry about how we were treated growing up and made to feel like there was something awfully wrong with us, but like we were to blame. Like being made to feel like that bad person. We internalise that, and so many of us still feel that today. I still feel that today. I am 100% sure that part of the reason I feel like such a horrible person sometimes is that internalised stuff, but also other stuff like, you know, homophobia because I'm bisexual, and racism and all those stuff. And again, I think that's why I talk about social justice, because I think it all ties in. I think it all is linked, genuinely. I think it's all linked. If you can understand the dynamic in one sense, like with mental illness or in LGBT issues, you can expand that and understand it in other senses as well. And I also think, you know, they say, why are so many social justice people mentally ill? It's because they're all crazy. No, it's because if you're mentally ill, you can understand the experience pretty well of there being a problem, but people denying there's a problem. I think that's why so many people who are mentally ill even people who aren't part of those other groups can empathise and are great allies and a great help to the communities because they understand that experience. They understand that experience of knowing there's something wrong, but people denying there's a problem, being blamed for something which isn't your fault. There we go. This should have been lots of separate videos, and I don't even know. But I love you so much, and I am safe, and I don't want to worry you, you know, making these videos, because you don't have to worry about me. This helps me to be able to like vent and to talk, and you know, here we are, friends. I'll update you about how the therapy thing goes, and I'll tell you if anything changes. I love you loads so much. Emmerdale looks great next week. That boosted my mood. I think Aaron Dingle might be about to propose, so yeah. See, I can feel happiness. I can feel something close to happiness there. I'm gonna feel happiness. I keep saying that to myself, as ridiculous as it sounds. I feel so bad, but I keep saying to myself, but Emmerdale though, like, Aaron is gonna propose. You've got to stick around for that. You've got to be here for that. Like, it's hard, but I need to be there for that moment. I can't be gone. I have to be there for that. So I'm gonna be there for that. I'm determined. I love you so much, and I'll see you all really, really soon. Okay, love you, honestly. Bye.